we just start playing chords, and then he hits those chords. And I was just like, I was smoking cigarettes on patios, you know, and I was like, that's a great line.
You just like riffed that?
Yeah, riffed it. And I was like, that should be the staple line. And I was like upset.
Welcome back, friends. Today, I dropped my kids off to drive over to Minneapolis, Minnesota, to the Turf Club, which I've never been before. This green room is a little bit loungier. It's a bigger space for a guest who's on the show like 6 months ago. Welcome back to the show, Baby
Hey, how you doing?
Dude, so good. Thanks for inviting me.
It was less than 6 months ago.
Yeah, well, the episode, I think, came out in like November. I think we did the interview in October. It was right after Beautiful Blue Collar Boy came out, and you were going to drop the deluxe album, which now has dropped.
Correct.
Right? How's that been going? Have you sold all 300 immediately in the first day of the signed copies?
Not the first day, but we sold like over, I want to say like 500, 600 vinyls, which is great.
Wow. What are the songs? What are the extra besides Lucky Fly on the Wall? What are the other?
Two Blind Mice, which we'll be playing tonight, which I like because it's like a homage to Don't Give Me Problems, Give Me Wine.
Sure.
Kind of in that vein. To me, it feels more like Head in the Clouds or Confidant or something like that.
Yeah.
So Two Blind Mice, we're playing that tonight. Please, 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 surprisingly, which was not picked to be a single on the deluxe, is the one that's doing the best out of all the songs. So
did it get put on some random playlist or something? Or it should hit done well.
The algorithm. Like, no playlisting, no nothing. It just hit the algorithm and it's just been doing like the best out of all of them. But yeah, Lucky Fly on the Wall, Two Blind Mice, Please, Please, Please. I can't even remember the other two right now, which is horrible. Can't remember the other two. Ferris Wheel. Can't remember the last one.
I've been putting, for whatever reason, when did the Daddy's Coming Home song come out?
Because that was like one of the singles off of The Sun Wakes Up Earlier Now. So actually, even though it's like included in the album, I think it came out 6 months before the album came out because it was one of the primary singles that we pushed with that album.
Gotcha.
So I think in like 2022 or one. I think the first time I ever heard it was when you performed it live last time. Really?
During your set.
It's like, it's one of those songs that was the first song. No, that was the second song. Sorry. The first song was Anywhere on Don't Give Me Problems, Give Me Wine. And the second song was Daddy's Coming Home that made me shift into alternative land. And now in which, as you know, the last 3 weeks I've dropped 3 house songs. So it's like, now I'm doing everything because I want to do everything again. And I'm going to rap again and do everything, right? But those 2 songs, Anywhere and Daddy's Coming Home, were the 2 that were like, oh, I got a voice for this.
Yeah.
And I should tap into this.
Well, especially for live. Like that song live. It translates really, really well.
Yeah,
live,
like
but
everybody loves it live.
That one, for whatever reason, has become like in my regular rotation for my daily runs, which I'm only running like 20 minutes. So there's not that many songs that are getting on track. But whatever reason, that song, I'm like, that's a good one for you to run to. Let me hear about these new dance songs. When I saw that Istanbul one pop up on my phone, I was like, interesting. I was listening to it and I was like, I did not expect Jake to put out anything like this. Last time we talked, you didn't mention it.
Did it?
Okay, so what was the inspiration? Are you doing like a little 5-song EP of them, or are they just like random ones?
20 of them done.
Oh my god!
But I'm doing a 10-song album now. Every week I'm dropping a song. Another one comes out this Friday. I'm only singing on like 3 of them or 2 of them. I really just like, I've been doing alternative for so long that I got sick of it, and I'm like, yo, I have this fan base.
Yeah.
I have people that listen to everything. I have these songs I did with Dylan Francis, with Zoo, with all these people, right? That I can never play live because I have a live rock show.
Right.
So I was like, how can I incorporate these songs that people also want to hear to the fan base? And the answer was learning to DJ, which I haven't done yet. I briefly know how to operate a turntable, but not well enough yet because I had to leave for tour. But when I get off a tour, my goal is to learn to DJ and just start doing DJ shows as well, so I can, like, one, tap into that market that I haven't been able to tap into yet, and 2, be able to like affordably go do other shows when I get offers, because like to bring a whole band everywhere is expensive when you're a solo artist. So if somebody wants me to go do, I don't know, a wedding, or they have a rooftop in New York and it's a new bar opening, it's much easier to just be like, oh yeah, I'll come and DJ the event.
Yeah.
And then if they want a specific song, I can play that specific song or whatever. But I just want to have fun, man. I just want to have fun.
So these 10 songs, are all of them going to be dance ones that are going to come out
correct
week by week, and then that's gonna
and I'm gonna call the album's actually, this is the first time I'm announcing this, but the album is actually called After Party
okay
1, right? Because there's gonna be a couple more. Like same thing with Demos That Never Made It Part 1. I'm working on a Part 2 of Demos That Never Made It. That's actually probably gonna be songs in which I lost the stems to. That are like full songs, like they're done or they're partially done or whatever. And I just kind of like the idea of like with BabyJake at least doing that and like kind of tapping into all that because that's who I am, you know?
I think it's funny that you said you've been doing indie for so long when you're still, what, now you're 28? You're 27 or 28, whatever.
28, just turned 28.
Happy late birthday. And my birthday is coming up. I'm going to be 35 because I'm an old man.
There you go.
But really, like, you weren't doing indie that crazy long because you were doing some hip-hop stuff, and then you were kind of doing pop stuff, and then you did a 70s rock album, then you did indie. Like, you saying indie for a long time in comparison to most people is still a short little window because you bopped around so much.
Totally. I don't know. I think for me, I've just realized I'm now looking at BabyJake as a library of sound versus just an artist. And what that means is like I'd like to tap into producing more, and like even guys, I don't know if you're familiar with Christian French, right? But this is a really talented kind of alt pop guy, a friend of mine from LA. He's moved to Nashville recently. We got together and made a song, and I was like, this is really cool, man. And like why am I not making music with other people too? You know, because I have the skill set to do it. And like you look at people like, I don't know, Travis Barker, Metro Boomin, right?
Sure.
Like these dudes tag their name on songs that they help create as well, right? As producers.
Which you've been doing a lot of producing and recording with other
So,
people
like,
anyways.
the house music is kind of an entryway into that because you're allowed to do that. But I think in the future, I'll also be tagging my name on other things that I produce with other people and just start to like build that and show people that I can do that.
Yeah.
Like I have this situation, I'm not going to say any names, but I got booked this session, made an incredible song with this girl, with this woman in Nashville right before I left. And she said something in the session from a person on my team that I'm not really close with, but a person on my team that I've been locked in this publishing deal for a long time. And they were like, yeah, he's like kind of dipping his feet in production. And that just pissed me off because I was like, I'm not dipping my fucking feet in production. I produced 90% of Beautiful Blue Collar Boy myself.
Yeah.
You know, I mixed majority of it myself. I got Brian Taylor to come in and finish the mixes because he's an incredible mixer. But, you know, like these house records, I'm producing them myself. I'm mixing them myself. I'm mastering them myself. The only other thing that I'm getting on there is other friends of mine that are vocalists that I want to work with.
Sure.
But like that really just pissed me off. I was like, I'm not dipping my toes in this. Yeah. Like I'm a producer and I should be known not only as an artist, but also as a producer. So I think I want to tap into that more as time goes on. But like I said, now that I've made 20 house songs the last 2 months and we're back on the road, now all I want to do is make rock, you know? Yeah. So it's like, and even pop music, you know, like before I left, I was like, man, what about these old pop songs I got that I just like let go of? Like, right. Why am I boxing myself in? Sure. Like really is how I felt. So I just don't think it matters anymore, man. And I realize that for me as an artist, the best way that I can grow and the best way any artist can grow, right, is by doing headline shows, focusing on your own fan base. Sure, it's great to go open up for somebody and pull from their fan base. I think that's amazing, right? And I think it's amazing to tag on other people, but like grow yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I realize that for me, what that means is tapping into everything.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I drive myself crazy.
Sure. Well, and the more that you learn about production or anything else, the less you rely on anybody else to achieve this thing that you're trying to build. Like when you're painting this picture, you don't have to say, well, finish this 10% of this picture and try to do it the way I'm imagining. Yeah. You can actually then do it yourself and get through it. Yeah. I'm curious with some of these other songs and stuff. Last time I interviewed you, we really didn't touch on that. Like I knew in there you said that you consider yourself a professional songwriter and you work with other people, but we didn't actually talk about any of the music that you wrote with other people. I'm curious, what's your favorite song that you wrote for somebody else that your voice isn't on?
Oh, that's a good question. Can I pull out my phone?
Yeah.
I have, where is my phone? It's over there. Okay, let me think in my brain. I don't know. There was an incredible artist that I worked with for a long time that I actually kind of signed into an indie deal. I might have talked about him last time. His name was Badman Sham. all of those songs I helped co-write, and it was really fun to work with like just a pure hip hop guy because I have that in me. I wrote this song. I wrote a whole EP with Sammy Nassar, another small artist. He's opening up for me in LA. He's amazing. You guys should go check him out. He pisses me off like crazy, but he's amazing. We did a song called My Hair, and to me it just sounded like a Justin Bieber like pop ballad, and I just loved to be a part of writing that. There's been some bigger ones. I can't think of them right now. If I had my phone, which is over there. Honestly, my favorites are working with the people that are new anyways. Like, it's cool to write with Christian French. It's cool to write with Young Summer. It's cool to write with some of these more established people, but like to work with somebody who's really fresh and be able to see like the spark of creativity of not knowing like really what this industry is about yet.
Yeah.
Or at least the nitty gritty of it is amazing.
Are they also just a little easier to work with as far as like malleable, and they're willing to adjust and do different things? Because I feel like established people a lot of times just want to take the wheel, be fully in control, and sometimes it's hard to work with them in that kind of way.
Yeah, it depends who, I think. Like Christian French, a perfect example, is like we're just close. We're as friends.
Yeah,
it's easy to work with him. Like we wrote a song in 2 hours and produced it like roughly. Sorry, I haven't got it to you yet, but I'm on tour. But you know, like it just depends. I would say generally speaking, yes, I would agree with you that younger, maybe not younger, fresher artists within the industry, right? People that are just coming in, these are the stories you always hear about anyways. Like I've come to realize that it's always better to go after that 30-year-old. I'm using a kind of an analogy here.
Sure.
It's always better to get the 30-year-old manager who's hungry at the company to break something. It's not always the move to go get the guy who's at the top because his name's on the door, but you don't want, no offense to Scooter, you don't want the Scooter now. Right. You want the next Scooter. Like that's what you want, you know, and Scooter did great for me. There's nothing against him, but I just think artists are the same way. It's like all of these stories that you hear are always like, they were working in a group of people most of the time, and that whole group came up together.
Right.
And that's always how it will be because you develop a chemistry that you can't develop in, you just can't develop in 6-hour writing sessions.
Sure.
You know, it's just not possible. I don't think it is, especially for the way that the modern artist is developed. Sure, back in the day when you had songwriting plants, literally, where they cranked out 100 songs as songwriters or whatever, and they were signed to labels and getting paid a salary to be a songwriter.
Sure.
And they went and pitched 100 songs to Clive Davis and he picked one of them. Yeah. Sure, then maybe it'll work for Whitney Houston or whoever. But nowadays, if you're like trying to develop yourself as an artist, I think the best way and the easiest people to work with are when it's like that core group and it's like this is our family.
Who are some of the other core group that you came up with that now are doing their own things that people should check out?
Produced by Cappy, great guy, blew up. I got really lucky to make he produced Confidant. He co-produced a couple of other records for me, and he was not only that, we actually haven't worked that much on like my project.
Sure.
But he's from Fort Myers. He's from Naples. And he produced the Dominic Fike EP, you know, the first one, 3 nights. He produced 3 nights.
Sure.
And then he got signed by UMPG and he, you know, started killing it. Like this dude's phenomenal mixer, producer, everything. And just an overall amazing guy. Nate Traveler, I've known that guy, like, again, having a huge moment right now, fully independent artist. Love what he's doing. Had like 2 songs last year that have like 100 million streams or whatever, like killing it. Super cool. You should check him out. Known him since he was like, didn't have any music out.
Sure.
Or like one song. And these are, most people from Fort Myers is actually what I would say, like Hallelujah. It's kind of playing Hallelujah. His name is Luyo. He's an incredible producer as well. Yeah. People down there, Eddie Rock. Nate's a great example though, because Nate, I remember chilling in Nate's backyard, like in his family's backyard in their garden. And like, he's like now, like, I don't judge me, Nate, if I'm wrong, but like, and I think he got like a Airstream, like a mini Airstream. He's just like with his girlfriend, like traveling.
Dude, that's so rad.
Just like making music, you know?
Well, you never know where somebody is going to be long term. Like I interviewed this dude, Garrett Galvin, and he had like started to pop off on TikTok for doing crazy like swamp people stuff, like messing with alligators, and like he's a big outdoors kid. That dude went insane viral a few years after that. Now he's like, I want to say 7 or 8 million followers on Instagram, which is like crazy hard to do. He's so like, hard. And he's never done another interview other than mine. So even though it's just an audio interview from forever ago where I interviewed him like in his like pole shed and now this dude's like the biggest wildlife sensation on the internet. You know what I mean? But like, I had no idea like where he was going to be. Now that you talk about Fort Myers, this is one that we didn't get to. And I know you probably don't want to talk about cigarettes and patios too much, but I never actually heard the story of everything I've seen. It always just says this song went crazy and now I'm big, but I never heard the story behind the song.
Oh, this is a great story. Also, before I say that, to answer your last question, there's a couple other people I want to mention. The Beaches is an incredible group, I should mention. Love those girls. I just saw JoJo at our Toronto show. They're based in Toronto. We played, God, I can't remember the festival. I'm blanking on it. It was in Redondo Beach, anyways, in California. I'm blanking on the name. Whatever. It was a festival out there, like a Beach Life. It was called Beach Life Festival. And they like had followed me right before, right? This was 2 years ago. And I was like, oh, these girls look rad. Followed them back. And I remember they had like a 1 p.m. slot, like a 2 p.m. slot in front of like 300 people.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we're so excited. And they were so like courteous and nice and like just loved my music. I love their music. Excuse me. And I remember them being like, yeah, we really struggle to sell in the States, you know, and be like, we're just like trying to break a little bit in the States, and in Canada, we do a little bit okay. To see them, that might be the most insane one. Like I've seen some crazy shit, you know, I've seen some people go from like here to superstar, but you were kind of like, I expected that.
Sure.
To see the Beaches and Blame Brett go so big, you know, and then like to see them continue to tackle that. And now I'm seeing them like play Coachella.
Wow.
And it's just amazing because I know how hard those girls work.
Yeah.
And how hard they party as well.
Sure.
But they're just such a great group of people, and it's just so, it's awesome. It's awesome to see that.
When you can see your friends succeed, especially on just like a whole nother
and when they
level.
show up,
Yeah.
when I invite her and she shows up still for me, you know, at 300 cap, 250 cap venue in Toronto.
It's because
she got home from Coachella that day.
Sure.
And
but
she showed up.
She knows that you were down with her because you liked her and you were a cool person outside of like whether they were famous or not or whatever. And that's where that connection comes from, which I think is so rad, dude. And again, that wouldn't happen if you were only trying to get in rooms with the coolest people ever.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just thought they were cool. I think they thought we were cool at the time, and hopefully still. And yeah, man, it's just, if JoJo ever sees this, she probably will. I appreciate that, you know, when somebody like who has she doesn't have to be there.
Right.
You know, she just got off a plane from Coachella.
Sure.
And literally the same day, and is like, I'll come see you. It's right down the street from me. I'll come see you. I don't give a whether it's right down the street or not. Like, I might not even do that just because I'm tired. Like that means the world to me.
It's hard to find genuine people though, you know, especially as you get to be more and more successful. So you remember when somebody is really genuine to you. Like regardless of how successful you are, having genuine connections with people is something everybody is still looking for.
Totally.
But yeah, let's hear the story behind Cigarettes and Patios, because I never heard it.
Yeah. So this is a crazy story. So I was signed into a production deal. This is when I originally met the guy I was just talking about, produced by Cappy, Luyo, all those producers. Luyo was actually the guy, like he's pretty much a big brother to me. He brought me into this production deal. We might have gone over this a little bit. I'll summarize it quickly. I was signed to this production deal with this producer named Develop. We had I was the one white guy in this whole group of Universal Music Latin people.
Okay.
I was like the only white guy.
Sure.
You know, and I was around all these guys that really were coming up in the moment because J Balvin, they were producing for another friend of mine, Fuego, who's a Spanish artist. And he was really early on the trap wave in like way before Bad Bunny was doing it. I remember like him telling me about Bad Bunny before Bad Bunny was Bad Bunny. And now Bad Bunny is obviously huge. But he was like, it's almost kind of sad because he was a little early to the trap wave, about 2 years early. So it just goes to show how much timing is involved in quote unquote luck in music. But Fuego, super talented, still doing his thing. They had a song with J Balvin on that album, on his album. And this was right when J Balvin, like right before Mejente, all of that started blowing up. Sure. So all these guys got a cut on the J Balvin album. They all won a Latin Grammy that year.
Wow.
So like all these guys from Fort Myers, besides a couple people from Miami, but the guys that I knew from Fort Myers were winning, and they were like surrounded by a whole bunch of people that were winning, you know, at the time. Universal Music Latin was huge, you know, and Latin music was really taking over. Like this, it was taking over. Reggaeton was everywhere and still is. And the plan was actually for me to, and I was just young and trying to get my toes in the water any way I could. And I love everything, like I said, as you know, because I'm dropping house songs right after I drop an alternative album. But the plan for me was to make a English reggaeton album.
Okay.
So we made it. We made the first 6 songs. Okay. And then they're like, hey, we should go to LA. You know, we know this, my current publisher, Pulse. You know, we know these people out there. You should meet. You know, let's just start connecting. We'll help you pay for the trip because I'm broke. Sure. We'll help you pay for the trip. Let's go out to LA. You know, things will be good. It'll be a great trip. And so we're like, okay, let's do it. We book it. All of us, like a huge group of us from Fort Myers, Miami, Florida.
Was this the first time you ever been to LA?
Ever.
Because you're like 18 or something.
Yeah. Probably, 18.
Okay.
I'm to like freshly 18, I think. And we're going to LA. We get to LA, and I got these 6 songs, right? And we get in a session with this guy, Rush Like a Thrill, Rush Davis, awesome writer, still love him dearly to this day. We're like working on these songs the first day. We're all high as side note. And we're working on all these songs, and we like are getting them we're polishing them. We're getting them to a really good spot. And the idea is to sign me to Universal Music Latin as the like kind of quote unquote first English reggaeton artist.
Okay.
Right? Or at least we thought, or whatever.
Yeah.
We're in LA. We park on Sunset Boulevard. They leave their backpacks in the back of the car. Some guy, we leave for like 1 hour.
Yeah.
We come back to the car. The windows are smashed. Right. Backpacks are gone. I'm like this little ignorant, naive at the time. And I'm like, wow, my records are gone. You know, once I realize these dudes, like, I don't realize have records with like Kodak Black, like, you know, different people that are like buzzing, you know, Anita, you know, Juanes, like buzzing motherfuckers at the time, like dudes that are really getting it done. And so I'm sorry, this is a long story, but it's a good story. And so everybody's pissed off. Like Luyo doesn't want to even talk to me. He just goes, we're all staying in this little Airbnb. He won't even like come out of the room. Everybody just lost their shit.
Yeah.
Like everything. And like back then, I don't know, maybe Cappy might have been the only guy that had it backed up. Sure. You know, like it wasn't hip to back your shit up yet. I advise everybody back your shit up. I just had this happen to me last tour. And so long story short, the second day of the second to last day, or it was the last day, sorry, the last day of us being in LA was the Pulse annual party for Pulse Publishing Group, who I'm signed to now. And so Develop is like, hey, everybody's pissed off, but look, this is a great event. We should go. You can meet some people. Let's do it. I'm at this point, I packed a bag. I got a suitcase with me. I'm going to the Pulse party with a suitcase, and I'm like, well, I can't bring it to the party. Where do I put it? My friend, Austin Tompkins, is shooting photos for a guy in Mid-City in LA called DeVault. He was a DJ now. He's one of my good friends now. We drop our suitcases off at the house in Mid-City, me and my best friend, Aaron. And we're like, we're going to this party. He's like, oh, it's cool. Leave him here. I meet DeVault, who's now a good friend, Sage. Bipolar Sunshine, right? That's the first time I met him. I did Funny Thing About Love with him on The Sun Wakes Up Earlier. Now, great friend of mine now, too. Crazy to look back at this. actually co-wrote one of the songs on that First of All EP, which y'all motherfuckers know what I'm talking about. I was helping on that hook, but I didn't know how to like step up to the plate and say, y'all owe me some credit. And now they're both good friends of mine, so I don't care. But we leave the bags. I meet DeVault's manager at the time, Duncan. Again, now one of my best friends. I literally just went to Miami and stayed in his house in Miami like 2 months ago. Duncan tells me, he goes, you can stay at my house. Or I'm sorry, he doesn't say this. I meet Duncan. He kind of shakes my hand. Oh, Jake's an artist, blah, blah, blah. He's like, whatever, you know, like kind of brushes me off his shoulder because he doesn't know who I am. Right. And I don't have a name for myself. I'm a nobody. We walk into the, fast forward 2 hours later, we walk into the Pulse party. I'm with Develop. And as we're walking in, this guy, Duncan, who I just met randomly 3 hours ago, is walking out to go grab somebody from the street. Total randomness. Had no idea he was going to be there. And like, it's a big party, but it's like a big city. Right. Like Los Angeles. You had no idea. He's like, and he looks, and then crazy, he looks at Develop and goes, Develop! And he knew Develop. So then he's talking to Develop, and he's like, oh, wait, oh, this is my new artist. You know, I just signed him. I'm developing him. And Duncan's like, this is ironic, but I just met him 3 hours ago at my house. And he looks at me and he goes, if you ever need a place to crash, you're welcome to stay on my couch.
Wow.
And I'm like, you don't know who you're saying this to. Like, I'm from Fort Myers, Florida, bro, and I'm broke. Like, I didn't say that, but in my brain, I'm like, I'm going to use that couch.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm with my best friend. He's seeing all this go down. He's like, this is crazy, dude. And he's like he's got dreads. He's a very like hippie guy, you know?
Sure.
And so, at least at the time. And so we walk into this party. I meet this guy, Shayon Daniels, would Develop. Oh yeah, I'm a producer. I'm meeting all these different people, whatever. But Shayon's one of the guys. He's like, yeah, man, if you're in town next time you come down, I'd love to work. Like we work out of this great studio, which is another set of lore that maybe nobody knows. It was will.i.am's studio.
Whoa.
In Glendale. And so it was his personal spot. It was called Jenga Studios, and they rented a couple rooms, and he rented one of the rooms there with another guy. And he's like, yeah, if you're ever back in LA, we'll work on a song. I was like, okay, cool. And now it gets time to like call the Uber to go to the airport, to grab our bags and go to the airport. And I get in the Uber with my best friend, and I'm like, dude, this is just too crazy, man. Like, what are the odds I meet this guy 3 hours, and then we go to this thing, and he's there, and he offers me his couch to stay on. And now, like, I'm getting the opportunity to go record in this awesome studio with this guy who, like, wants to believe in me without even knowing anything about me.
Yeah.
Which I learned is very LA. But, but at the time was amazing to me. And so we're in the Uber. We're, like, a mile away. I'm like, dude, this doesn't feel right. He's like, dude, if you don't want to do it, stay. And I'm like, that's crazy. I don't know this guy. He offered me his couch. Like, what do you... And I asked the Uber. I'm like, yo, what do you think I should do? He's like, man, this is Los Angeles. You should stay, bro. And I'm like, all right, turn this around. So he turns it around, drops me off, and I keep, going to the party, whatever, connecting with people. I met some other people there that I ended up working with as well. And, 2 days later, I end up staying. Develop was staying another week. The rest of the guys from Florida left. They're like, oh, okay, you're staying, cool, do your thing. Started staying on Duncan's couch. He's like, you're welcome to stay. Stay there probably 2 weeks. Too long. But 2 days later, we go into Jenga Studios. And like, Shayon's a great piano player. And he's like, what do you like? And I'm like, at the time, I'm really into like Chance the Rapper and,
sure,
a lot of different people, but a lot of that gospel-y type of sound. And we just start playing chords, and then he hits those chords. And I was just like, I was smoking cigarettes on patios, and I was like, that's a great line.
You just like riffed that?
Yeah, I riffed it. And I was like, that should be the staple line. And I was like upset, because I just lost. I just met a guy 2 days ago at a house that like kind of batted his shoulder to me, who's now one of my best friends today. And he offered me his couch after he saw who I was working with. I'm now on his couch, And I just lost my entire EP that's like literally about to go into mix and master pretty much after this LA trip. And I'm like, this is a year of work of me and I'm like, dude, I'm so young at this point. I'm trying to just be respectful and not ask too many questions and just just make it. And I'm like, what the you gotta be kidding me. And you're not going to put out some rough bounces with some demo vocals. I mean, you might, probably should have, but I'm pissed. So this song, as much fun as it is, I remember in the moment I was just upset, so it's a fun song, but it was me kind of I think maybe that's why it hits so hard, is because it's Cigarettes on Patios is a song about partying.
Yeah.
But the way I'm singing it, I'm upset. You can almost tell. Because I'm the second verse, I'm here we go again.
Yeah.
Here we go again. Me saying here we go again wasn't here we go again. Let's
yeah, it's not a joyous feel.
Yeah, and people took it like that, which is great because it's a party song. But it was more here we f***ing go again.
Yeah.
Another f***ing thing to deal with, And we cut it. And I called Develop that night at 3 a.m. And I'm like, dude, I got something, bro. I'm I know this one is hot. I knew it. I was I know. And I still feel that way on songs that don't hit, But he's I'm I got something. And he's like, all right, let me hear it. And I send it to him, and he never calls me back right away, ever at that time. He's a busy guy. He's doing this. He just won a Grammy. And he calls me back 5 minutes later. He's like, dude, I just listened to it 3 times. It's a fucking hit. And he's like, call Shay on right now. You just left, call him. See, we're here. I'm here for another 4 days, 3 days. Let's get back in. Let's wrap this shit up. And so call him. We could get in 2 days later. He's I got a 3-hour, 4-hour block. We get in, we reorganize some stuff. We cut the bridge, and that was it. It was done. The demo was done. And then it was that's how the song got made. And that we knew that was the staple. We knew that was the core of what everything around it was going to be at the time. And I was still tapping into other things. I was still rapping already. I was still making other pop songs, but whenever we had meetings, that was the song we played.
Sure.
And yeah, and 6-8 months later, whatever it was, probably 6 months. It felt like a long time to me at the time, but probably pretty soon it was we just got lucky. He had a meeting with one of the A&Rs at Scooter's office for Justin for some reggaeton, and he just played my at the end of the meeting, and the guy liked it, and the rest was pretty much history.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you actually have a career, and you don't have to just sleep on people's couches going, I wonder if I'm going to make this.
Yeah, and that's also, I also want to talk about something that I want to bring to the table here too.
Yeah.
Me and my guitarist Aiden are working on another project called Sweat. Okay, and it's been on my Instagram forever at sweat, whatever it is, 6 sweats. The 5 was taken, and I kind of got this idea. I've been really into punk rock, obviously, and I've done a million things with BabyJake, and BabyJake's not going to die, right? I'm going to make a funny post probably later on where I'm I'm retiring, but I'm not really.
Sure.
But just for the funniness of it. But when I announced Sweat, but because this is the first I'm talking about it really in public, right? But I kind of realized that, I forgot about that for a second, until I thought about it the last 6 months. Once you have your foot in the door in music, it's not as difficult to get to where you want to be. So the reason I'm making this project with him, right, and a drummer friend of ours, Grant, one, I realized I kind of always wanted to be a band. I just didn't realize it, right?
Sure.
And I love being a solo artist with BabyJake, but I want to spread. I want to as much as I love having all the control, I kind of want to be able to be vetoed, by a couple people that I trust, that I'm making music with. So we decided to make this, and I started to realize quickly over time, I was and again, we're very preliminary. We're trying to finish the first album by middle of June and start to have conversations then. But I started to realize, I was man, the hardest part about music is just getting your toes in the water. Once your toes are in the water, this industry is so small. It's incredibly small. So really, what happened to me with Cigarettes on Patios and Scooter, is not crazy. Like, people are like, that must have been crazy. And it was, of course, because like I was the one who got chosen, right? Or whatever. But it's really about knowing the people to go to and how to go to them.
Yeah.
And the timing working out, because most of it is timing, right? Like, I happened to drop a song that was a party anthem. And really the last party anthem, if you look at it, was I Love College by Asher Roth before me.
Sure.
That was the song.
Yeah.
There was no like college song in that time, you know? And then after me, you had 24K Golden and kind of those type of guys come and take over that scene. Young Gravy take over that scene. Or Young Gravy might have been like maybe same time as me he started. But there really wasn't like, it was an opening. And what I realized now looking back is the same thing in so much of life. Like, if you look at what went on with Justin Bieber, it was like, okay, who was the boy band or like the boy star before him? It had been a while.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it was like NSYNC. It was like all those 90s, early 2000s, kind of the late 90s boy bands. But like, Bieber was the right time.
Yeah.
Bieber was the right time. And what I started to realize in music was like, it's all about timing and having your foot in the door. And so now, knowing that and being in this for almost 10 years, the reason I'm bringing this up, I'm excited to do something else from scratch and have the opportunity to take different steps, maybe, or on a fork in the road, maybe go left where I went right last time or whatever, you know, and just know that to anybody out there, this is kind of a general statement to anybody trying to be a musician. The music industry can seem daunting, but it's just like any other industry in the sense that if you package something really well and you have the intent behind it and you have the vision behind it and you know how you're going to do it, at that point, the hardest part is just getting to the table.
Yeah.
Once you're at the table, anybody in their right mind who listens to it and thinks it's good and sees that you're an artist that's coming to the table with a package that looks beautiful, and you're telling them a strategy and you're telling them it's already done with minimal money invested into it from their end, would be stupid to pass it up.
Yeah.
Because there's so many artists nowadays that they just have a song. I mean, this literally happened to me. I know this from experience. You have a song blow, and I kind of got crushed by COVID, but you have a song blow up and then there's nothing else.
Right.
Like, I didn't even have, by the time Cigarettes on Patios had 50 million streams, I might have had 6 songs out.
Sure.
Maybe, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the same thing happened in Nicky Yor recently. I played Summerfest 2 years ago. Nicky Yor has the biggest song of the summer with Sunroof. I got my head out the sunroof. Yeah. And it's like, I remember playing with him, and I love Nicky. He's an incredible guy, good friend, super sweetheart. And I remember listening to his set, and I'm like, why is he playing so many covers?
Yeah.
And like, I asked him after, or I asked somebody in his team after, and they're like, dude, it's because there's only 6 songs out.
Yeah.
So it's like, you start to realize, like, as awesome as that can be, it's just like any other industry. If you have something packaged really well and you're presenting it and it's cohesive and it's put together and the branding is there, it would be stupid for an investor to come in and not want to invest in you. So to any young artist out there trying to make it, my biggest advice to you off of this rant is to just like, don't try to make the song. That's, so many people are caught up on making the single, and it is a singles world, but make the project.
Yeah.
And then, you know, focus on which songs lead up in a good order for me to release them. What's my strongest? How am I going to make that stand out over there? What does the content look like? What are my colors? Like, if you do that, you'll see yourself at the table much quicker.
Yeah.
Than if you don't do that, you know?
Dude, well, I think the biggest part is you have to solve a problem for somebody, right? And the thing is if you don't have anything else behind it, and that's not just music, that's just kind of anything. If you don't have anything else for the next step, then you're solving one problem, but the person that you're solving the problem for, they're like, yeah, but to follow that's 5 more problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you can solve somebody's problem and make it easy for them, like I talked to Wayne Hoffman a long time ago. He's a good buddy of mine. He's a big illusionist, and he was on the Ellen DeGeneres show. And how he got that was he was just contacting them and pitching and saying, hey, I would solve this problem. If you ever need somebody, I would love to do it. And he was not famous at the time, but somebody dropped out and they're like, I have a problem I need solved. First person that came to mind happened to be Wayne, because he had reached out to him recently, showed him, hey, I'm solving this problem. If you need this problem solved. And then next day he's on a plane, gets on Ellen DeGeneres, and then that snowballs. Now he's one of the biggest magicians in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is. Like, people they're like, how do I do this? I'm like, find the people to go and pitch this to.
Right.
You know, like, if you have a great product, case study the product, right? Like, you know, play it for friends. You know, friends that you trust, that you know aren't just going to be like music friends that are trying to tell you to change the hi-hat because they want to tell you something.
Sure.
You know, they want to tell you how to make it better because they're better. But play it to friends that don't do anything in music, you know, but you trust them. And if they like it, and maybe they do have some good constructive criticism, but after you case study the product, just start going out there and finding, you'd be amazed how many contacts you can get to by just reaching out, like you just said, and by just saying, I'm here. You know, the hardest part about getting known as an artist is showing that you exist as an artist. And it's been crazy to be where I am now and just like go through all of it and have a huge manager and have no manager and have a huge, label and have no label. It's just taught me so much about everything. And my mind has shifted from so many different places to where like now I'm 28 and I'm like, I'm sure I've said the label in the past, but like, I don't even believe that. It just depends on what you want and how you want your direction to shape. There's a time and place for everything, and there's a way to get there in whatever manner you think is proper, right?
Yeah.
But it's just taught me so much about like everything in life is relationship based. Everything in life is relationship based.
Right.
And it's based on how well you treat the people that you're working with.
Yeah. No, I think that's huge. I get to interview a lot of music artists, but you are one of two who have become my number one streamed artist on Spotify, which is so fucking sick. I didn't realize it. Like, I did like your music before. I did listen to your music before. I reached out to you. That's why I got the notification from Spotify that you were coming. Yeah. Right. But I didn't like dive that crazy deep. And then once you said yes, and I was like researching, getting ready for the interview, I just like went on a deep dive and kept you in regular rotation so much that I had texted you when my Spotify rap came out, and I was like, whoa, BabyJake's number one.
I love that.
So sick, dude. So yes, thank you for continuing to put some stuff out. So I got some fun questions. I doubt you've ever been asked this during an interview before, and I've never done it before. Let's play 2 truths and a lie.
Okay.
Give me 2 truths and a lie, and I have to try to guess.
Oh, okay. 2 truths and a lie. Okay. I went to college. I don't know if this is going to be good. I played basketball in high school. And I started as a songwriter in music.
I feel like all of those are true. You're like 6'6" or something, so you must have played basketball in high school. I know you went to college and dropped out, just like me, my protege. Man, the Lies played basketball in high school?
The Lies not played basketball in high school. I'm glad you said that, though. I was hoping they were going to be good. The lie is that I was not a songwriter first. I actually produced before I was a songwriter in music.
Really?
On FL Studio.
Wow.
That was a good lie, right? I feel like I could.
You must have only been like 14, 15 then.
I was like 13.
Oh my God.
Years old.
Dude, that's incredible. Okay. So you are considered, most people would say, like a very genreless artist, and I think there have been a lot of artists such as Prince who have blurred genres and inspired a lot. Who are the 3 most influential genreless music artists of all time?
You know, I'm going to put Justin Bieber up there for sure, because I think he's really cracking the code right now. He's my first pick.
Wow.
Because that dude started as like a boy band type of vibe. I mean, it's not a boy band, but you know what I mean? Like pop star, young kid, baby, baby, baby. And now he's putting snippets of him like rapping up there. And like, he's really like, I know they're not that far, but he went from like baby, baby to like R&B to pop to kind of alt pop where he's doing songs with Dominic Fike and stuff to now he's like posting like trap snippets.
Yeah.
I just think that's really cool from somebody like him. Genreless, man, that's so hard. I can't even think of anybody else right now. Bieber, I put Bieber up there just because I think what he's doing now, and I hope he's okay, by the way. I've seen some things out there about him, like,
yeah, I've been seeing that too.
Being on drugs. Hopefully that's not true. I think maybe the dude's just like enjoying life a little bit, but who else would be genreless? I can't think of anybody else that's genreless right now. My final answer for right now is going to be Justin Bieber, because again, I think to go from that, even though it seems really easy to go from baby, Justin Bieber baby to Justin Bieber peaches,
sure,
is really like, it's really different. And he went through puberty in the process. So his voice totally changed, right?
Yeah.
A good example too is like a lot of Red Hot Chili Peppers actually would be one, maybe not genreless, but their early stuff was punk, very punky funk stuff. And then you hear their later albums and it's like indie pop rock kind of,
Sure.
like much more wide mainstream acceptable. Same thing with Arctic Monkeys. I never really realized that. Arctic Monkeys' first album was way more grunge and punky than like, I Only Want You When I'm High or whatever.
Sure.
It's amazing to watch bands, I think, go from the root, the rawness of the beginning to like that kind of pop commercial sound. I respect that a lot.
Man, those are not 3 that I would have expected literally at all, but very interesting choices.
Yeah, I don't know. Who do you have in mind? I can't even think.
I mean, Prince would be like towards the top, right? Like he would have to be one.
I just don't like Prince.
Dude, you're in Minnesota right now.
At all. Oh,
that's right, Wisconsin.
That's right. He did live at 7th Street, right?
Well, yeah, First Ave, but same building.
The First Ave, isn't that? He did like a live album there.
That's where Purple Rain was.
Oh,
And the people who own First Ave own this building as well.
Prince, I'm sorry. I don't know.
That's okay.
It's not that I don't like him. It's just
okay. With controversial takes, then, who of all the people you've seen live, because I'm sure you've seen a million, even ones that you've been at festivals with or whatever, who has been surprisingly the best person you've ever seen live or band, and who was the most disappointing you've seen live?
This is controversial. I can't think right now either. Honestly, any rapper lets me down always. I'm sorry. They're just like, I just don't get it. I don't get playing the music through the speakers and kind of, just like rapping over it, I guess. And sometimes they sound like absolute. There's been a lot of rappers. Band of Horses kind of let me down a little bit. I saw them at Beach Life. I just was like a little underwhelmed. I mean, of course, the big song Funeral sounded great, but then like the other stuff, I was like, kind of just sounds whatever. The best Eagles were incredible. Even with Joe Walsh kind of let me down too, but that's just because he can't sing anymore. Dude can still play the guitar. Georgia Smith was incredible. John Mayer is incredible. He might be maybe the best. Amyl and the Sniffers, I just saw them recently. They were incredible. And they're also a controversial take for me too, because they were so sloppy in the right way. Like it was just so punk slop. And I was just like, how can you be this loose and this good? And they're buzzing right now. Amyl and the Sniffers is buzzing right now. Like they're coming here and playing some theater. They're playing 2 nights at a 2,500 cap.
Wow.
2 nights. And their biggest song on Spotify is like 12 million streams. It just goes to show that streaming does not equate to ticket sales.
No.
Like they are so buzzing on a social platform level. It's crazy. And to see that punk rock could be done so sloppily, but so right, I was like, everybody's off time, but it feels so good, you know?
If you were going to add a punk rock song as a cover to your set list, which song would you do?
Definitely The Clash. What the fuck is that song? Should I Stay or Should I Go?
Dude, you would crush that.
The Clash, Should I Stay or Should I Go is probably, in my opinion, maybe the most iconic punk song of all time.
Wow. What is your all-time favorite individual lyric, like line that you've written?
That I've written?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's so hard. Probably 69 is your favorite number. You're lucky I like it too. That's why I'm into you.
Yeah, dude.
I always love that. Like
The Crimson Red line up from before, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then 69, I was like, nice.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah, Crimson Red's your favorite color.
Dude,
You're lucky I like
that's
it.
incredible. So you've done a lot of music videos over the years. Which one was your favorite music video that you've put together?
Bottom of a Dirty Shoe.
That was the one where you jumped on the plexiglass that we talked
I just thought that was so cool. Like, I just love that we put that together for $900. And yeah, I mean, Bottom of a Dirty Shoe has to be my number one. My number two is probably Do I Fit in Your Shoes, where I'm in the fat suit.
Yeah, that's the one I was going to pick.
I love, Do I Fit in Your Shoes is an incredible video too.
How did that one come together?
And also the guy who produced that song is the waiter.
Oh, really?
With the stash.
Wow.
That's him, and he's hilarious.
That must have been kind of a big budget one, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't huge, but we
That like
had
you.
awesome extra. Most of it was like the makeup, and like in the location. But yeah, what was the question?
Well, how did that music video come together? Whose idea was it? Like, how did it come to fruition?
I don't even remember. I think it was Ava Ricky, but I could be wrong. I think it was this director, Ava Ricky. I could be wrong. I don't even remember. All I know is that I knew that I was pissed at the label at the time. The whole song is me being pissed at a record label. Do I Fit in Your Shoes is me saying F you to the label who's about to release it. You know,
who's paying for it, right?
Who's paying for it? So it's like, and I had right to do that. You know, like I don't regret doing that. Like I was getting bent over by my situation, and that's my own doing. But like,
do you have like an NDA you're not allowed to talk about specifically?
No, I can talk about everything. It's just the simple way. It's so complex, but the simple way is like, I just don't know how companies like that can let young artists get into such situations where like, I don't think they realize they're doing it. I just think that there's so many hands and chefs in the kitchen, and like, gets so split up. Like if I wouldn't have fought to get out of my record deal, I would have been in that for maybe 20 years.
Okay, so what was the biggest problem of it? When we talked last time, you kind of referred to it as you would never make money off your music, but you clearly must make some money off the music being on the label.
No, you don't make any money.
They just own all the rights.
Words recoupment. And you're recouping at 1/5 of the rate of a regular recoupment, pretty much. So you're recouping from a royalty rate. Your royalty rate under a label, if you're lucky, is 18%.
Wow.
So you have to recoup, if you get $100,000, you have to recoup $500,000 before it makes that $100,000.
Okay.
Because you're recouping from 18%, not from 100%. So a Republic is far in the ROI for me. Yeah. They've already made probably $500,000.
Sure.
You know, maybe a little less, whatever.
So then they pay the artist off what, a salary off of
no
bonus
they
per
gave
show?
An advance in the beginning, and then you're responsible. They gave me, for me, for example, my advance was $100K, and you're supposed to get every new album that you do.
Yeah,
you get a new advance, but Don't Give Me Problems, Give Me One wasn't an album; it was an EP. Right? Okay. So they're not going to tell you the reason we want you to put out an EP is so we can drag the clock. I didn't know that. I'm young. I don't know how it works. I don't even know what my contract says.
Yeah.
Don't recommend. Everybody read your contracts. Don't trust lawyers unless they're a very good friend of yours, or unless you found them specifically and they're invested in you and you trust them. I'm lucky to have a great lawyer now. But at the time, I just like trusted the people around me. And never do that in life. Never do that in life. Always, always, always check yourself. And I just like, I didn't know what anything, if it was less than 9 songs, it wasn't called an album.
Sure.
So for a year and a half, living in Los Angeles for 2 years, living in Los Angeles with, a record on the way to being gold at the time and backup songs, Head in the Clouds, Confidant, even, I think those were pretty much the 2 bigger ones on that record that are killing it as backup songs. I'm living from 2019 to middle of 2021 off of 100K.
Wow.
And for me to get more money, I'm realizing, this is why I'm like realizing at the point of the sun wakes up earlier now. And maybe I didn't go the right way about doing it.
Sure.
I probably wouldn't have done it the same way that I did it. I probably would have had a cordial conversation.
Yeah, but you were what, 21 or whatever?
Yeah. 2 years old, whatever, 21. And it was like, I'm realizing for the first time in my life, I got songs streaming tens of millions of streams.
Right.
On both platforms, Spotify and Apple Music being the 2 biggest, right? And I'm stuck in a 100K advance deal unless they option me to the next album. And I've already delivered 9 songs. But because I didn't package that as an album, and because nobody let me know
to do that
on purpose,
right?
Very much on purpose, I had to deliver a whole nother record. And by the time I delivered the whole nother record, COVID hit. We canceled. We were going to do we had a full tour plan for Europe, for the States, into Europe, into hopefully tagging on Australia as well. That got canceled because of COVID. COVID hits. Everybody's locked down. Everybody's going crazy. And I'm stuck in this deal, and I'm forced to deliver a project during COVID, with a lot of budget left that I got to use, which was great, but you're also recouping.
Right.
And a label at that point who didn't see and wouldn't tell you this because they want to drag it on as long as they can to make as much money as they can off you. But a label who didn't see it going anywhere.
Right.
That's why they didn't option to the second album.
Sure.
For them to option to the second album would have had to cost them too much money.
Sure.
And they're not going to tell you a year before if you don't start pressing on. They'll never tell you if you don't start pressing on.
Sure, because you're shelved and making the money.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you don't realize you're shelved.
Sure.
And you might have songs that you believe in, but they're not pulling the trigger anymore for you.
Sure.
I mean, that's what happened with The Sun Wakes Up Earlier Now. The trigger wasn't being pulled. The trigger should have been pulled in multiple. Trigger should have been pulled on Daddy's Coming Home. Trigger should have been pulled on Do I Fit in Your Shoes. Both got playlisted. Both still had good relationships with the people we were working with, but they didn't follow up. They invested a ton of money in cigarettes. It popped and it worked.
Yeah.
They probably invested $50,000-$60,000 in that song.
Wow.
In marketing. And it worked.
Yeah.
And it blew up, and their ROI was incredible from it. And then I dropped Don't Give Me Problems, Give Me Wine. And we put a little bit of money into it, but not nearly enough to make it bigger. What they should have done, if they would have seen how talented I was, and I still believe this, is they should have just started dumping money into it. Yeah. Then nobody would have been upset, and we would have been in a 10,000 cap venue right now.
Yeah, but that may have happened if COVID didn't happen because you would have gone on that tour,
Maybe.
Which then there could have been buzz from that. And
maybe.
Yeah, who knows? New music every week. Dude, not many artists do that anymore. Nowadays, I feel like with single culture, people are like, wow, I don't need to put out 12 songs for an album every year. I can just put out one song every 3 months. And it's just like this slow wave after wave.
I'm trying every week. We'll see if it works. I've noticed a dip in the release radar on Spotify and the natural algorithmic playlist now that this was the first 2 were 2 weeks apart. I think that's great. And I think every new artist that has a ton of music should be doing that. If you have a ton of music and a plan. But every week We're yet to see. This week will be the real test. If this week it takes a dip down, then I might go back to bi-monthly. But if it was up to me, it would be every week.
I remember last time we talked, you said you kind of geek out about all of, I forget what you referred to it as, but you're talking about not just playlisting, but social media strategy and all the back end stuff. What did you refer to that as? Like,
the data?
yeah, like
Spotify for artist stuff?
Yeah, just all of that. You were telling me you kind of geek out about all that type of stuff. What's the last thing that you learned as far as like a tool that has helped you with your music?
I would say there's a couple. The first one I want to highlight is Lalo. Great company for anybody. Lalo is a first-party data collection company, which is great, specifically tailored for musicians. So anytime that you say you want to release a pre-save, or say you want to do some type of engaging thing, right? Maybe you're doing a giveaway or whatever. Whoever is getting involved in this, it's collecting your fan data so that you can reach them directly, right? When they sign up for the giveaway or for the RSVP, or maybe I'm going to do a live stream with 100 lucky fans that get to see the new album early.
Sure.
And it collects all these people's data. So next time you come to, it'll target them. And so now you have, Cassandra, I don't know, Herring. I'll use my own last name. They have Cassandra Herring in, Chicago. And okay, this person RSVP'd to this. And then it continues to keep track of how often that person engages with whatever you're putting out. So let's say that you go, hey, you send a message to all of them. And of course, you got to pay for the messages, whatever, as typical. Yeah. Same thing with MailChimp, whatever. But let's say you put out, guys, I got 100 vinyls left. They're half off. Here you go. It ranks each fan based on whether they're engaging with, whether they're buying merch, whether they're engaging with RSVPs. And it literally gives them rankings per that.
Oh my God.
So literally you get to know your fan base and go, oh, this person in Austin, Texas loves me. Let's do something special for that fan. I have a super fan of mine. Her name is M. Vickers. And she went to the first 7 shows of this tour.
Oh my God.
And now she's taking a break because that's expensive.
Yeah.
And now she's coming to Nashville for the last show, and we don't know what we're going to do yet, but we want to do something special for her because this girl's like, she brings 2-3 friends to every show.
Yeah.
And she knows every lyric to every song. And it's like, you want to know your fan base.
Especially people like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just in general, I think it was so cool. I think back in the day, they used to do this. At least I had been told that, when it was when you were a fan and they knew that you were engaging, some people would select them into a group, and you would maybe get a special package from an artist or whatever. They'd be like, we're giving 100 vinyls out and you were one of the selected fans or whatever. I don't know. It's just, to me, collecting first party data is so important as an artist because nobody told me this 10 years ago. And if they would have, I would have had an email and SMS list of 50,000 people.
Sure.
And then I would be able to connect with people directly on when I'm coming to a city to play a show or when I'm releasing an album. That's how you blow up. That's the real way to blow up. Yesterday we played Indianapolis and there's some people that came in line. They're like, oh, we saw you at Hi-Fi. You were so good at Hi-Fi. It was the first time we saw you. I said, what about the show last year? Oh, you played a show here last year? Do you mind filling this information out?
Yeah.
Because I need to be able to reach people directly. It's the number one thing in music. So shout out Lalo. Great company, subscription-based company. Very, very artist-friendly as far as if you need to communicate back and forth with them. They're very easy to get in touch with. Customer service is great.
LAYLAO or LOW?
LAYLO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just LAYLO.com.
Correct.
Wow.
I think .com or something.
What's the subscription cost?
I think it's.
There's levels. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think the pro whatever is, and it comes with some credits to send messages. Is maybe I think $20.
Oh wow! So very reasonable to at least try it.
It's
and this isn't meant to be an ad, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not an ad at all. I'm just saying this was something I got. I just learned about first party data a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And just from that alone is why I come to these cities and why I go to Columbus on a Tuesday and even have 100 people in the room.
Right.
Is because I was able to collect some of this data, and it's so important for artists to realize that the virality thing is all kind of a gimmick. It's kind of a trick. How you should look at your career as an artist is you're taking tiny little baby steps, and along the tiny little baby steps, as you're balancing on these little stepping stones, you find a big rock where you get to rest for a second. That's a viral moment. That's what a viral moment should be. You shouldn't be chasing the viral moment as an artist. You should be creating content that you believe in and connecting one-on-one with each fan.
Yeah.
Until you look back and you go, oh, there's 10,000 of you.
Sure.
And now then you can create a platform, maybe Discord, maybe whatever, to communicate with everybody. But I think in general, people look at it wrong. It's always been the same. It always will be the same. It's always like, how do you connect one-on-one? You know, that's why merch is like my favorite part of doing a live show, is because I get to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
I get to know how you heard about the show. I get to know why you're here. I get to know who you brought. I get to know all this information about why you're in St. Paul at Turf Club on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Seeing me. You know, like it takes so much effort to do that. As a musician, I hate concerts. I love performing concerts. I hate going to concerts unless I absolutely love the artist.
Sure.
Because for me, it's very personal. It's like I am thinking about how the guitar player's playing or what pedals or, you know, I'm thinking about everything else besides the show.
Sure.
And enjoying the show. And so, you know, I'm blanking. What was I talking about right before?
You were talking about different tools that you had discovered that were helpful to you that might benefit other people. You said Laylo was the first one.
Yeah. And so I think like it takes a lot of effort to come to a show.
Yeah.
And to show your fans that you care.
Right.
Is the goal. You shouldn't take, like, I don't do VIP meet and greets, at least not right now, right? At this level. Maybe at 2,000 cap I will, because you have to.
Right.
I can't sit out there and meet everybody for 6 hours. I'll burn my throat.
Yeah.
And I won't make it to the next venue.
Sure, yeah.
But at this level, no, I'm not going to do VIP meet and greets. Why?
Honestly, that's even just how I feel about people that comment on like your Instagram consistently. If like people who don't even like engage with those people, when you see the same people commenting time after time after time, you're like, how hard is it to even, you don't have to engage with a whole conversation, but something is short. All right, let me ask you another question.
Yep.
What is your favorite song that you've written that really underperformed? One that you think is way better than it performed online.
Ginger Red, Anywhere, Married Man. That's starting to perform randomly right now, actually, a little bit. But I would say the biggest one is Ginger Red. That was the last song on the last album, and I kind of knew it was going to get slept on. But I had the inkling, and I was working with the team, and I was trying to be a team player, and I was a team player, and so I changed out some singles. But to me, I always wanted to make that song a single. It was really personal to me. And it just got slept on. I think that's some of my best songwriting too, you know?
Why do you think it performed poorly?
Because I'm independent, so you don't get boosted like when you're signed to a major label and they basically have to put you on Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
They don't have to, but it's highly likely because they're invested. They have a vested interest in Spotify. But also it's the last song of the album, and in general, it was really a big realization to me, like you just said, that it's not an album world anymore unless you're a big enough artist to make it to where it really matters, or a small enough artist where it really matters. But when you're in the middle, it's not an album world. It's a singles world until you get another moment, and then you build an album around it. When you're small, you can make everything, you know, for example, I would consider what happened with Beautiful Blue Collar Boy a pretty good, run out. Like, I thought that we got playlisted well. I thought that the content looked great. I thought that everybody on the team cared. I thought we sold a lot of vinyls, all of these positive things. But because I have such big numbers on my top 5 songs,
sure,
for me to top that, 1 million streams doesn't mean anything.
Sure.
Right? So when I say either you're big enough to where you're Noah Kahan and when you drop a music video, everybody watches it.
Yeah.
Or when you're small enough as maybe the Dalmatian Club or whoever, who's playing tonight, right? Maybe then it also matters because you're at the base level where you're cultivating that one-on-one and you're still building your identity of who you are. But when you're in the middle, I think that it's just really tough to get songs on the back end of an album, the last spot on an album, to get heard. And maybe with the algorithm, it does get blessed one day, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But to me, that song, it really hurts, that one, because I wanted it to be a single, and I passed up on it being a single because there's a group decision. I don't like regret the decision at all, but it was a group decision to make another song a single.
Sure. I'm curious how you feel about this. I've never really talked to a music artist about it. I know that you had a remix with 24K Golden of Cigarettes and Patios. I've always kind of felt like, that Megan Thee Stallion song, that Beyonce came on, what song I'm talking about?
Maybe.
It's her biggest song. Now I'm blanking on the name of it.
He's singing it in his head.
I'm trying to. Anyways, the song was like the song of the summer. That's the reason that Megan Thee Stallion's famous, right? Yep. Then Beyonce takes that song that was already famous and goes, okay, I'm going to be a feature on this song. I don't think she made the song better, but the song now was way bigger only because Beyonce was on there. When you have something like Cigarettes and Patios, it doesn't need anybody else on there. How do you feel about people featuring, like bigger artists featuring on songs that are popping of somebody else's? Do you think they're just kind of riding their success in an unfair way? Because that's how I feel about it. Or like in general, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think so. I also think in my particular case, 24K Golden was a scooter pull because he knew the kid well and he knew his team well. And everything got a little up because it was supposed to be a primary release where both of us were listed as primary artists. It would show up on both profiles. We were going to shoot a music video, all of this stuff. None of that happened, right? So he gets listed as a secondary. We don't end up having enough time to shoot the music video. And it's kind of like, at that point, why do we even put it out? Again, label's trying to just collect more dough. So that's why. But in general, I would say if you're a big artist like Beyonce, probably yes. Unless you really just with it,
Sure.
You're looking up the song.
Now it's going to bug me until I figure out what the song is, and you're going to know exactly which this song.
And if you do, then, hop on it, but...
Savage. That's what's...
Yeah.
Anyways, that song came out, and then Beyonce was on it, and then I only heard Beyonce's version, and I was like...
Beyonce's trying to grab onto anything she can right now. I'm sorry. I'm just not... I know she won Grammys or whatever. I didn't like the album. I don't get it. I think just because a couple country artists, just because Morgan Wallen's crossing over pop to country and rap doesn't mean that everybody needs to just go to country. I think that's lame.
Yeah,
that's what
I totally agree. You've been doing all of your own stuff now for quite a while, but you have featured on other people's stuff. I haven't noticed any features in a while. What's the favorite song of yours that you featured on? And in general, how come you haven't been doing any?
How come I haven't been doing any? Because I think in the alternative world, I was thinking it was better to just show that I could do it myself first. Now I actually really like starting, now that I'm just kind of back to, I'm going to do whatever makes me happy for a second. I want to actually start working with a lot of people, as you've already seen, on Istanbul and stuff like that. And not only on the house stuff, I've talked to alternative friends of mine that do folk records and alternative friends of mine that do country songs, to start working on songs and records together, because I think that'd be really cool. I actually had the idea to do a whole album of features, which I think would be really cool. My favorite that I've done, probably Funny Thing About Love, probably the Bipolar Sunshine one. I love that song. I just we were obviously obsessed with Mac Miller at the time.
Sure.
And that was the reference, as you could probably hear some of it. And we had Soul Was, who was an incredible bassist. He just played Coachella with, I think it was Felly or somebody like that. And yeah, I just think it was really cool. It was really cool to we did that also, we wrote the song together and then we came into the studio and we cut the song together. And that's very rare that happens. Usually you cut it somewhere else, they cut it somewhere else, you send it, it's done. But that song is somebody let's give me oxygen, be to me 9 notes to 10, caught in the crossfire, I'm an optimist, next time I'm sorry, I'm an optimist, meet you after lunch. It's both of us singing back and forth. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. What's the next project that you are producing for somebody else that's going to be coming out? Because you said you've been doing a lot of recording and stuff at your house.
Yeah.
There has to be some things cooking.
The Christian French song I'm excited about. He's moving to Nashville, so I'd like to work more with him. I'm sure that he's fully independent now, so I'm sure that we'll work together. I like that guy a lot. I think he's really talented. He's got a great voice. I can't stand working with people who don't really have a voice. And his
so many now.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, if you want to put some auto-tune, I'm like, dude, you do not need it. Like, you have a great voice, I love that. So hopefully, like, we get some songs together and end up putting a project together. Also, another guy that I would love to hop on a song with. I think he's super talented. And he's going more alternative, which I think is really cool for him because he's got a great, like, Harry Styles type of mix of like pop and alternative kind of going on. That Young Summer girl, I worked with her. It's not often that you get like people in the room and you just like hit it off. But Young Summer was another girl that I worked with in Nashville, and like the song's sick and she's sick. So I'm excited about that. I don't think I'm really producing per se like any projects, but I'd like to, and I'd like to work with whoever sees this, if you're in Nashville or not. I'd really like to work with a hip-hop artist and produce a ton of hip-hop beats, not trap, like rap beats, maybe some trap in there too, but like more hip-hop centric, and not like old hip-hop, like still modernized, but more kind of like breakbeat stuff. And I'd also like to work with an alternative artist and kind of grow them. There's an artist out of Toronto that I co-produced. Actually, I guess I should say this. I co-produced his last album, which is horrible to say, but I don't remember what the name is. But I co-produced like 5 or 6 songs on there, and that was really fun.
Which artist is that?
His name is, the name of the band is The Commune.
Okay.
But the lead singer and the guy who writes all his songs, his name is Finn Barwall, the most Irish ever. He's starting a solo project as well. And I really want to help him like dive into that. So I think he might be a guy that like I really start to try to develop. He's so talented. Like they're better. That night in Toronto, they played better than us. It's rare that an opener gets up there and you're like,
Yeah,
like,
dude, for sure. Well, especially because you genuinely, I'm not just trying to like, I don't know, lift you up over and over again and be obnoxious about it, but you are one of, for sure, the best performers I've ever seen live.
Thank you.
Very few people sound that like, and I think it is just because almost everybody, when they're recording and they're putting out music, it's like, okay, what can I do to my voice to make it sound better? Rather than just like leaving it for what it is. You know what I mean? They're always trying to tweak it.
Yeah.
So then you go into the show with an expectation that is never going to be hit.
That's why I hate listening to hip hop live. I'm like, dude, these guys are singing with autotune on and they're still missing all the notes.
Dude, there are some artists like Sunreal, I will say, he doesn't have backing tracks or anything.
Yeah.
Sunreal is incredible live.
Yeah.
He also does like sings and does
he does
stuff to
mix,
it. But his rapping is incredible. I saw Prof Reel recently because I interviewed Willy Wonka, his DJ, recently because they're from Minneapolis. That show is really, really incredible. They played Red Rocks last night, which I was super excited for them to finally have that opportunity. Let's leave this with one more story.
Sure.
Last time you had such a cool one about Snow Fort.
Yeah.
So if you could relive any one day of your career so far, which day would you relive and walk me through it?
One day of my career so far. This is going to be a funny take, but I'm going to go for it. If I could relive one day of my career so far, it would be the first show opening up for Hobo Johnson and the Lovemakers in San Diego at the Observatory. This was last year before our tour, or maybe after our tour or last tour, one or the other, before or after. I flew out there, rented a car, and kept telling myself, you're going to work on the set list, you're going to work on the set list, you're going to work on the set list, you're going to practice. I just didn't. And this is why it's a funny story. Like, I show up to the venue, I didn't expect it to be that packed. Like, I was like, oh, first show, like San Diego, does he even have a big fan base there? He did. Show up, there's like 700 people.
Oh, God.
I'm nervous because I've never performed ever in front of more than 50 people with an acoustic guitar by myself. And I I have the XLR in the wrong input of the back of my little splitter so that my in-ears aren't working. I think they're breaking. They're not breaking. It's just the wires plugged in the wrong hole. I'm like, let's just go to wedges. We didn't checked the wedges. I left the set list downstairs. So I show up and I just like, dude, I'm so nervous. And I just get up on stage and I boofed it. Like, I would love to relive that one more time just to show that I'm not that guy. So all of the San Diego residents, but also because it's so humbling, man. Yeah. Such a humbling thing to like just be nervous. Like, it's not often that I get nervous anymore, and I was scared. And now probably I won't be. Like, I'm going to play a festival June 6th in Spokane, and I'm not nervous to go and play acoustic solo anymore, or a duo or whatever, but I was so nervous. Like, I hadn't played ever with acoustic guitar in front of anybody more than 50 people in like my hometown or something, or like, I guess like in the middle of a set.
Sure.
Like when you're with your band and you have backup in case you up.
Sure.
But like, I royally up and I just blacked out on the whole thing. So I would relive that night in San Diego at the observatory, just opening up for Hobo and just being so defeated, like just having to walk past them and be like, they think I'm horrible. Like, I remember he was like, I didn't realize you were going to just be solo acoustic. And I was like, that's not a compliment, But then I came back. We played LA next at the Fonda and I crushed it. And they were like, dude, that was sick. So we're good friends now. And yeah, that's just such a awesome, it's awesome to like get knocked on your ass every once in a while,
Yeah. I mean, that's by far the best way to learn. If you never fall, then you don't learn how to avoid falls in the future. It's like every time that I've made a mistake is the only reason I know, like, oh, I should stop my camera here.
Well,
like I had a couple recently. I've been doing the show 5.5 years. This was only a couple of months ago. Dude, longest day ever, and I'll keep the story short. Woke up at like 6 a.m., was on the road by 7, drove all the way to Madison, which is 3 hours, recorded an interview. Then I had to be like a guest lecturer at this university at UW-Madison for this podcasting course, which is crazy that's a thing.
I love that, though.
Then I had to drive to Milwaukee and record another interview in Milwaukee. Then I drove all the way home. I got home at like 1 a.m. It was like super, super long day. Both interviews, one of the cameras was out of focus. Seriously. And I had like a backup, but still, I'm like, I don't understand how this happened. Well, I really don't know my equipment all that crazy well. So I learned how to kind of fix it to a certain degree. I used my alternate angle. That was okay. I invited my friend over, Austin Bauer. He's my 2 houses away neighbor who's a videographer. And he shows me a whole different thing with my cameras that I had no idea how that actually worked to focus on people. And now I know how to do that.
That's so funny.
And I wouldn't have, and it took over 5 years of me like recording stuff, not knowing how to do that.
And you probably look back and you're like, like I just said, you're probably like thankful for that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though it like sucked in the moment.
Right. But at least for me in that one, it was like, well,
you got a backup.
I have a backup. The fall didn't like hurt me that crazy bad. Hurt episodes did. Yeah, I wasn't up there totally by myself. So last time I gave you coffee, what did you think of it?
I love the coffee.
Dude, minimum wage Tim's. This is a different one this time. So let me gift this to you.
Do I get this one too?
Yeah, from Honduras. And you get to pick one of my coffee mugs. I brought a couple. So
I get to take one of these this year.
You can have a coffee mug to go with your coffee with some stickers in there. Whichever one.
Time to put in work. I'm going with the black one.
I figured. Well done, dude. Thank
you, minimum wage Tim.
Dude, he actually texted me during this interview, so maybe he's coming.
Yeah, I hope he does come. The coffee was great. I don't really use the beans, but my roommate knows how to make amazing espresso with beans and stuff, so he just like makes me the coffee.
Dude, have you ever had chocolate covered like beans?
Yeah.
Coffee beans? Those are
But I'll eat the whole thing and be cracked out.
Yeah, I have a problem with that too. Well, dude, thank you so much for doing this again. Stoked you're able to connect for this one. Can't wait to see the show. This is going to be
I'm excited. Also, the 2 openers are great. Shout out to Dalmatian Club. Shout out Taco Box, both local to Minneapolis, so they're dope.
Dude, Minnesota has a great scene. Everyone needs to go follow It's BabyJake. If they don't already, across the different platforms, we're going to be putting out a bunch of little posts and stuff again this time. So go check them out on that. Go to Spotify, hit the follow, and then start. You know what I think is like a little hack people should do more is start adding songs that you like to other people's playlists.
Yeah.
Because you can. Just start doing that.
Yes, please, please, please spread the word.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Passion Pod. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you soon.